So over here we have negative 3 times b. All right, so how would we do that? We write in our number, negative 3, and then b. 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 0. And just like you might think, this negative 3 is multiplied to every number in here. And so the final result will be negative 3, 3, 0, negative 3, negative 6, negative 3, negative 6, and 0. All right, 4 times a. 4 times a. Okay, a is 2, 1, 1, 0, negative 1, and 2. So like we did last time, multiply it to every single number in there. So this is going to be 8, this is going to be 4, this is going to be 4, that's going to be 0, that's going to be negative 4, and then that's going to be 8. And this right over here is our solution to 4 times a. All right, so that's scalar multiplication, but now what about multiplying two matrices by each other? Well, that's precisely what we're going to do right over here. A, B, and B, A. So remember when we did addition and we did subtraction, you can only add two matrices of the same dimensions. Multiplication is a little bit different. So first we need to see how many rows there are. So there's 1, 2, 3 rows, right? And we need to see how many columns there are. Well, there's 1, 2 columns. So A is a 3 by 2 matrix. What about B? How many rows are there? There's 1, 2 rows, and 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So we've got a 2 by 4 matrix. We take a look at the numbers in the middle. Are they the same? Over here we've got 2 and we've got 2. Yes, those two middle numbers are the same. And so we can multiply these two matrices by each other. And the answer will be a 3 by 4 matrix. All right, so let's go ahead and multiply these. A is 2, 1, 1, 0, negative 1, 2. And B is a 1, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 0. So I'm going to have a pretty humongous matrix here, and let me go ahead and show you how to multiply these. So what we need to know is row times column. Row times column, all right? That's the biggest thing we need to have in our mind. So we start with the first row of the first matrix. This one right over here, 2 and 1, okay? So we're going to start with the first row and multiply it by the first column, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get this number times this number. So 2 times 1. Now we're going to move over to the next number and go to the next number in our column. 1 times 2. Alright, so we finished that first column. We've got 3 more to go. So what's 2 times negative 1? And then we're going to go 1 times 1. Now 2 times 0 is just going to be 0. And 1 times 2 is just going to be 2. All right, last one. 2 times 1 is going to be 2. And 1 times 0 is just going to be 0. And I did the first ones like this so that you could see the pattern, but now I'm just going to keep on doing it in my brain and then writing it down. So let's go to the next row. All right, so we did the first row, all the columns. Second row, all the columns. Third row, all the columns. And I think you see where this is going. So now I'm going to go 1. I'm going to do the first ones like this for you. So I'm going to go 1 times 1 plus 0 times 2. Then I'm going to go 1 times negative 1 plus 0 times 1. And I think you're seeing the pattern here. 1 times 0, which is going to be 0, plus 0 times 2, which is also going to be 0. 1 times 1, which which is going to be 1. 0 times 0, which is going to be 0. And now we come down to our very last row. All right, we're at home stretch here. So negative 1 times 1. And again, I'll write that in for you. Negative 1 times 1 plus 2 times 2. And remember, I got this 2 and multiplied it by this 2. Now negative 1 times negative 1 plus 2 times 1 plus 2 times 1. And I'm going to keep doing it in my mind. Negative 1 times 0 is going to be 0. 2 times 2 is going to be 4. Negative 1 times 1 is going to be negative 1. 2 times 0 is going to be 0. And that right there is our solution. Now we just need to add them and give it in a simplified form. And I'm going to sort of put a little parentheses in here. I'm kind of moving into the other guy's space. All right, so what's 2 times 1? That's going to be 2. Plus 1 times 2, that's going to be 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So up here, let's write a little 4. What about 2 times negative 1? That's going to be negative 2 plus 1. So negative 2 plus 1 is going to be negative 1. 0 plus 2 is 2. And 2 plus 0 is 2. What is 1 times 1? That's 1. Plus 0 times 2 is 0. So that's just going to be 1. 1 times negative 1 is going to be negative 1 plus 0 times 1. That's just going to be 0. So we have just negative 1. 0 plus 0 is 0. And 1 plus 0 is 1. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. And 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 plus negative 1 is 3. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So 2 plus 1 is 3. 0 plus 4 is just going to be 4. And negative 1 plus 0 is just going to be negative 1. So that right there is a solution to A times B. A times B equals this matrix right over here. And I can even put right over here. Equals AB. Now remember, over here, they said it would be a 3 by 4 matrix. And guess what? It's a 1, 2, 3 by 4 matrix. Now what about B times A? Well, B is 2 rows, 1, 2, 4 columns. So it's a 2 by 4. 2 by 4. A has 1, 2, 3 rows, 2 columns. 3 rows and 2 columns. Now these middle numbers don't add up. These middle numbers don't add up. And that means we cannot multiply B times A. And so this right over here is undefined. Undefined. What about something a little bit smaller like C times D? Well, we see that this is a 2 by 2 and this is a 2 by 2, so we can multiply these two together. So this is going to be a 2, 6, negative 1, negative 3, multiplied by 1, 2, 3, 6. Remember, row, column, row, column. And so let's start with this first row, 2 and 6. So what's 2? Let me write this out. 2 times 1 plus 6 times 3. And again, this is 2 times 1, 6 times 3. That was row 1 times column 1. Row 1 times column 2. All right, so we need to finish out all the columns before we can move on to the next row. So let's finish out that second column. So what's 2 times 2? Over here is going to be 2 times 2 plus 6 times 6. Now that we finished out both columns, we can move to the second row. Negative 1 times 1 plus negative 3 times 3. Right? And again, negative 1 times 1, negative 3 times 3. I hope you're getting the pattern now. And the next one would be negative 1 times 2 plus negative 3 times 6. And again, negative 1 times 2, negative 3 times 6. And the more you practice this and do problems, the easier and easier it will become. All right? And now we can solve that. This will equal, what is 2 times 1? 2 plus 6 times 3, 18. So 18 plus 2 is 20. What is 2 times 2 over here? That's going to be 4 plus 6 times 6 is 36. So that's be 40. Over here we've got negative 1 times 1, which is going to be negative 1. Negative 3 times 3, negative 9. So negative 9 plus negative 1 is going to be negative 10. Negative 10. And then negative 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Plus negative 3 times 6. That's going to be negative 18 plus negative 2, negative 20. And that right there is CD. Now let's talk about some special cases of matrices. What is D squared? Well, D is this matrix right over here. Now, the rule with squaring a matrix is that it needs to be of the dimensions where both rows and columns are the same. So this is a 2 by 2 matrix, right? 2 rows, 2 columns. Over here, A or B, right? B has 2 rows, 4 columns. That's a 2 by 4. So a 2 by 4 cannot be squared. A 2 by 2 can be squared, a 3 by 3 can be squared, a 4 by 4 can be squared, etc. But they have to be the same rows, the same amount of rows, and the same amount of columns. So what is D squared? Well, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 6, and it's just going to be multiplied by itself. 1, 2, 3, 6, right? So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. And again, 1 times 1, 2 times 3. Right? And we add those right over here. And later we're going to add these together. We haven't finished all the columns. We've got to move into the next column before we can go down to the next row. So 1 times 2 is going to be 2. And 2 times 6 is going to be 12. Right? Now we can move down to the next row because we have finished both columns. So what's 3 times 1? 3 times 1 over here. 3 times 1 is going to be 3. Now what is 6 times 3? It's going to be 18. What's 3 times 2? That will be 6 plus 6 times 6. It's going to be 36. And remember, 3 times 2, 6 times 6. Right? Now we will figure out what this is. What's 1 plus 6? That's going to be 7. 12 plus 2 is going to be 14. 18 plus 3 is going to be 21. 36 plus 6, 42. And this right over here is D squared. Now what about A squared? Well, like I mentioned, A squared is a 1, 2, 3 by 2. It's a 3 by 2 matrix, and therefore it cannot be squared. So this right over here is undefined. Undefined. So I hope this video was helpful. It helped you understand how to multiply and, to even do some special cases like square a matrix. So thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay positive.